Hi friends, Renee Case here with Carolina Creative. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here with card making ideas for you. Today I am back to using the Impressions Bloom, which is a bundle if you just want the stamps and then the dies that will cut out all these different flowers. But there's more to this because it is a suite. And with the suite comes, I'll quickly show you the embossing folders. There's two different folders. They'll fit through the mini Stampin' Emboss machine. And so you've got this texture as well as the flowers. But today what I really want to highlight is the Designer Series paper that comes with this. So I'm going to flip my camera down so that I can show you some of these papers. They're bold, they're bright. They use a lot of the new in colors. So you see the Timid Tiger, you're seeing Darling Duckling, you are seeing, I think there's some Freesia in there. There's some pretty greens. This would probably coordinate, I haven't even checked, but I bet it goes with the Secret Sea. So a lot of the pretty new in colors. Look at all these different floral patterns. And then of course the back side, you have a green with a small print. Here you've got the Strawberry Slush. I left that out. There's Strawberry Slush. There is, again, the Freesia. There's the dark green. Here's a pale green. Here, I already showed you the dark green. So anyway, there's 12 different papers if you count front and back. And today I'm going to use one of these designs. I have already picked out. These look like, it's not quite a sunflower. It's more of a daisy. To me, it would be a coneflower if it was sideways with the brown portion. But I'm pairing this with an early espresso base. I actually went a little bolder, so this is not the Darling Duckling. This is actually Daffodil Delight, so it's just a little brighter. And I am going to use Nested Essentials. I have die cut this elongated hexagon. And I'm going to do some stamping on there. So I am ready to start stamping. Again, it's kind of simple stamping, but now I'm pairing it up with a really pretty paper. So I've selected my colors. I've got the early espresso, but I'm going to do some stamping off today to kind of lighten that. So let me start with the Darling Duckling. I'm going to use this first to give me that daisy look. Like I said, it's almost a coneflower. And so I'm going to do that on my, I'm going to slide that aside while I'm stamping here so I can stamp right front and center. I'm going to do that to give it more of a two-tone layered look. So that's the first stamping here. Let me go ahead and put some cleaner on my Stampin' Scrub so I can kind of clean as I go. Clean and then dry. And then I'll set aside. Now, I did pull out, one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and simultaneously stamp what I want to go inside. So I'm glad I thought of this while I was still had my inks out. I'm going to put the same flower right there in that corner. So now I've got the detailed stamp, and I'm going to go just a shade darker. So I actually pulled out my crushed curry. And I'm going to ink this up and stamp it 1, 2, 3 times. And I'm not going to be real fussy about where I put this and line it up. I'm just going to match up the center and then not try to worry too much about where all the petals are, because it's just kind of freeform, freestyle. I could have used this bigger one to do this as well. I just decided not to go quite so bold. Okay. So now I want to use Timid Tiger, because what I'm going to do is I'm simulating what is on this designer paper. So I'm looking at this design right here. I'm going to use the solid flower, but I'm going to stamp it off to get a really pale orange. That's what I've got my paper here for. So I'm stamping off. And now I'm going to play with, where do I want to fill in some of this design? Yep, there's that pale orange. Oh, I love it. Put one up there. Stamp this off. I'm going to put another one here. And I'm leaving myself a little bit of space so I can put some green leaves in there too, to again match that. So now I'm not going to stamp off. I'm going to use the full Timid Tiger to kind of get the detail here. And another one up here. Okay, so I've done that. I should be done with that. Now I'm going to add some leaves. And I pulled out Garden Green because I think it's going to coordinate. I know it's going to coordinate with that paper. So I've got my pretty little leaf. I put it, here we go, on another block. So I'm just going to fill in. I'm using the detailed. You'll see it soon. On my fingers. As soon as I stamp it, you'll see the details. I'm using the green details. That's pretty bold. So I'm going to stamp it off for these smaller flowers. I'm just going to use the same leaf. I do like that better. So I'm just filling some space here. And I didn't stamp that evenly, so it was going to come out looking a little lopsided. And I'm going to do just a light stamping off and put another leaf here. Oh, I didn't get the whole thing. There we go. And I'll just stamp this off. Do I need another leaf is the question. Probably not. I'm going to stop right now and then decide if I need to fill it in. So now I'm going to use the early espresso. And I'm going to use the larger of the flower centers to do these. And again, I don't think I'm going to look at it, but I'm guessing, that's actually not bad. I was guessing I didn't want it to be that bold, but I'm going to go like this and leave it big and bold. And now I will stamp off and use a slightly lighter shade of brown to do these. And it didn't stick to my, let's try this again. Didn't stick to my block. That doesn't happen to me very often. Stamp that off. Let's put it in the center of the flower. Ink, stamp off in the center. Ink, stamp off in the center. Okay, now I'm going to put a sentiment. This is just going to say thanks. So I want to, I've got a piece of, again, Daffodil Delight because it matches this. So I was going to be bold. And I'm going to use my Garden Green and just stamp the word thanks. Yeah, let me type this. All right. I love the font. The cursive font is really pretty. And then inside here, I'm going to use, I'm putting two sentiments together. So I'm just going to slide this over. Look at all the stamping I'm doing now. Simple stamping, that's all this is. But I'm going to use the crushed curry so that it really pops. And I'll show you what I did. I put two sentiments together. So now it says, I appreciate you so very much, with a pretty little flower in the bottom. All right, I think I'm done stamping. I used 4 or 5 different inks, but you can see it does coordinate with the card and with that cardstock. And if you notice my nails, we went to a Savannah Bananas. We watched Banana Ball over the weekend. And so in honor, I did yellow nails, and this is not my normal color. I would never do this, but it was fun for the crazy game we went and watched. So I'm going to start assembling. I need to decide which way I want my paper to go. I'm kind of liking that. I'm going to be covering some of this. I'm going to put my sentiment maybe down here. I'm going to trim that so you get some idea how this will go together. So I've got my trusty liquid glue right here. Let me put some dots of glue on here. There we go. Not too heavy, enough to hold it down. And center this up like that, okay? And now I'm going to start layering. I've got my Daffodil Delight is to frame my pretty paper. I think I'll do this first and then glue the whole thing down as one piece. I often like to do this. I just feel like it helps me to frame and center and work my way up on the card. And yeah, that's actually not bad. Okay. Give that a nice squeeze to get all the layers down. So now I'm going to attach this to my card base. This time, I prefer to go a little heavier. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal. frame this up. I got too much at the top. There, so you've got the brown, you've got the yellow, it's pulling it all together. I think I'm gonna glue this flat. I could put dimensionals under that, but I'm thinking I'm going to save the dimensionals for my sentiment. So let me glue this down. And what I might do before I glue this, I still can. I'm going to use, I gotta pick which color. Maybe the Darling Duckling. I'm gonna put a little color on the edge. This time I'm gonna do it facing the camera. So because I put glue, I'm being very delicate. And I'm putting just a little bit of tilt to this so that I get it. So here I go again, wanting to put color on the edges. And especially with the stitching on there, it really does make that pop. I like that a lot. So let me put that at the top. I like the one up there. I'm covering up some of these pretty yellow daisies, but that's okay because they're duplicated. So I've got lots of color, lots going on here. I feel like if I can trim this carefully, I got a little bit too wide on the bottom. So I'm just going to freehand trim this edge, give it a little snip. I'm going to give this kind of a banner angle. Let's see how I like that. Because now, yep, I think that's going to fit right there. I like that. So let me put a few dimensionals behind there to pop that up off the page. Might take 3. That took the backing right off for me, so I'll go ahead and take the other one off. I'll put one in the middle, so that's 3 to support that. And now I will add this. So it just says thanks, but inside has the really nice sentiment. Now I did, to match my daffodil here, I did tie a little bow in Daffodil Delight. So to me, this is just another whimsical little touch. Yep, I want it to go this way. And I can curl up that glue dot just a little bit so that it doesn't show behind it. And I'm just going to put that on the edge between my hexagon here and my sentiment, like that. So the last step that I'm missing is, of course, my Wink of Stella. So I'm just going to put some shimmer on here on all the flowers, and even I think on the centers. If I pull a little bit of that espresso, that's okay. I might even put a little shimmer on these big ones just so that there's some extra sparkle here. There we go. I do like a little shimmer. I just think it adds a nice touch. So let me do it on the inside as well. This has some pretty coloring with the two-tone stamping. So now I've created a really pretty thank you card that just says thanks on the front, but I appreciate you so very much on the inside. And all I did was make it coordinate. So when you look at it up close, you see I've simulated the colors here. I got a little bit bold with those oranges, but picked up on the style of the flowers and used some of the leaves and just made a really pretty card. Simple stamping on top of a pretty piece of paper. You could have used just a strip of this designer paper. There wouldn't be a whole lot of it, but I've covered up so much of it that would have worked really well too. So there's a card making idea for you today. If you like the products and the projects you're seeing here, you can find me at Carolina Creative or hashtag Carolina Creative. I am on the Stampin' Up! Network. It's Renee Keese at Stampin'Up.net. You will be able to find this as an online exclusive, so you won't actually see it in the catalog when it comes out. But all this will be going live on May 6th when our new catalog launches, so stay tuned. Thanks for joining me today.